I thought you might be amused if you wisely didn't tune into the Royal Variety Show last night on television. It's never a good idea. I used to have to go to that every year. That's annually 4 hours of my life I'll never get back. It goes on forever, I'll tell you. So boring. The royal family, the Queen used to hate it, but King Charles the same. But anyway, last night, an impressionist, mimic, came on and did, I mean, admittedly, I can do a better impression of Keir Starmer than this. It's a really terrible impression, but the audience got what he was on about. Oh, he's doing an impression of our Prime Minister. So it's not really about the impression. They're not booing this impression, although they probably should be. But I tell you, they're booing the whole concept of Keir Starmer. Listen to this. Who is that guy? That's terrible. But yeah, the whole audience burst into a crescendo of boos. The guy is incredibly unpopular, and we've got Wes Streeting, the ambitious health secretary, all over the Observer yesterday. Massive, great, moody pictures of him walking through the forest and looking ready for business, ready for action at number 10 Downing Street. You know, and he gives a quote saying, "I don't know why anyone would want to be Prime Minister like he doesn't want to be."
I mean, I almost admire the fact that he's got such brass balls on him, Wes Streeting, that it's just so obvious and transparent what he's trying to do, which is, of course, why it won't actually work for him. He's not the most popular member of the cabinet amongst Labour members, terrifyingly. That's Ed Miliband.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness me. Then you've got Angela Rayner.
Second most popular.
Right, with her crayons out, currently writing her memoir. And you've got this guy who's going to lose his seat at the next election to some Islamist anyway. He almost lost it at the last election. But I'm not surprised with the booing of Starmer. It happened at the darts as well, I think, the other day. Yeah. And a friend of mine who does a lot of focus groups, so you cannot mention Keir Starmer's name. You cannot mention Rachel Reeves's name.
Because the reaction is too explosive.
It's too explosive. You can talk about anything. You can, it could be about, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee instead. Well, Mr. Starmer likes boo, and it'll be 58 minutes of people just screeching about how, I think rightly, awful a job that Starmer is doing. And Streeting's not going to do any better. He's off doing this photo shoot in the woods, as you say, whilst the doctors are on strike in the NHS.
Yeah,
He's the health secretary.
Get round the table. Stop the doctors' strike, Wes. Stop worrying about getting into number 10, because you're not going to make it anyway, despite all of your machinations and desperate tactics to get in there. You're not going to make it. But so you're right about Angela Rayner. She's been keeping a very low profile lately, as you quite rightly say. She's working on her first book, and I'm told she's almost finished colouring it in. But
it'll be great to have a politician who's written more books than she's read.
Yeah, there used to be a guy when I worked on the Mirror. There was a guy called Harry Harris, a good reporter, very good sports reporter, and he was always churning out books. And they said, poor Harry's written more books than he's read.
Amazing.
He was the guy who once wrote Bethlehem, Home of the Legendary Jesus. You can take the sport out of the reporter, but just before we go back, still with Starmer, he never sees any crackdown on freedom that doesn't attract him, does he? So Australia is now banned under 16-year-olds, or everybody under the age of 16, from going anywhere near social media. Sir Keir wants to do the same here, we're told.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have a little bit of sympathy for this. If you look at someone like a man called Jonathan Haidt, who's a researcher in this in the United States, who's the person who's documented just how bad an effect on children's health, genuinely, this is not like, oh, my mental health, but genuinely how bad social media is for these kids. It's seeing impossible standards to live up to, and the bullying that takes place and all the rest of it. The problem is, I'd have a bit more time for Starmer talking about bringing it in here if, as you say, Kev, he hadn't been so draconian, cancelling elections, trying to abolish jury trials, arresting 30 people a day for adults for saying things on the internet. Because if you start rolling out technology to ban it for kids here, how long before, well, you're not allowed to say that on Twitter anymore, let's ban Twitter. How long before there is that creeping authoritarianism that Starmer loves so much?
Yeah, exactly right. It just sort of seems to play into this increasing feeling that we're being ruled by this sort of tyrannical dictator.
Right. The thought experiment is what if Reform or the Conservatives had announced half of the measures that Labour had announced? They'd be rioting in the streets, calling them dictators.
Yeah, exactly right. I'll tell you what we'll do now. I promised you that we talk about Santa being too white. I'm sure you've all been losing a lot of sleep about it. So you can get a bit more sleep. We'll be back in about a couple of minutes to discuss, to tell you exactly why Santa Claus is too white, and he's a symbol of colonialism, isn't he? Obviously, and oh my God, the patriarchy. You've got to do something about that. Why isn't he working with the elves? I mean, there are grown adults who've been thinking about all of this, and they've come up with this conclusion that the trouble with Father Christmas is he's too white. I think the trouble with Father Christmas is he's too fat, and he's got really bad tasting clothes. I mean, who would wear a suit like that with the white trim? I mean, what an idiot. We'll talk